Thanks, Tom, for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very pleased to have this opportunity to brief you about our assessment for the adverse impacts of recent weather events on Australian agriculture. When I say that, I really meant it, because I can tell you the reason why. On Sunday, I was doing some housekeeping and mowing, my lawn on the front yard with the mower, and I saw, I saw a couple bees flying over the bushes on my front yard. I didn't pay much attention. I just ran my mower into the bush, and then here comes a swarm of bees out of the bush, start chasing me, so I ran for my life, but I still got stings, all over me. Amazingly, I didn't get a single one on my lips. Otherwise, it would be a perfect reason for excuse myself doing this presentation, because like my colleague said, they get to talk about the improved outlook for agriculture, and I get to talk about adverse impact on agriculture. So it certainly will be very challenging. Now, let me see whether modern technology will work or not. Yeah, good. Before I start my briefing, I want to make 3 observations. Firstly, I would like to have this session as a discussion. That is, we try to do the best we can making assessments in terms of the impact of excessive rainfall, floods, or even Cyclone Yasi. I would much more appreciate if you have on-the-ground information, and through this forum, you can provide to us your experience and your information, and that will certainly help us very much in terms of fine-tuning our assessments. The second observation is that what we are presenting here really is only the impact that we are making assessment in terms of productions and exports. It doesn't really cover all that infrastructure damages, on-farm and off-farm, and also the short-term disruptions created in terms of business activities and so on. We will be undertaking our annual farm survey later in the year, and therefore there will be more information available in terms of increased expenditure on on-farm infrastructure and repair and things like that. So we haven't been able to incorporating damages to on-farm infrastructures or business activities into our assessment. The third observation is that what we are going to present is really on a very aggregate levels. It doesn't really cover individuals who suffered from those events. So I presume that the other speakers will cover some of their experience during the flooding or adverse seasonal conditions, and I hope that will provide more information in, if you like, compensating our aggregate pictures. Now, this morning you have heard our minister, our executive directors, all give you the aggregate impact and so on. And our deputy executive director also present these slides showing you how much rainfall we've been receiving for the period December 2010 to January 2011. We would like to talk about these issues into 3 parts. The first part is really from about early to mid-November till early to mid-December, the major issue is really very significant rainfall, excessive rainfall during that period. And then the second stage will be from late December to about end of January. That's associated with significant floodings. And then the third period, naturally, is Cyclone Yasi. So I'll brief you in terms of how we did our assessments and what are the implications and so on. For the excessive rainfall in November to mid-December, we contact our industry contacts and other organizations, state departments, and so on. Our assessment is really the major impacts were on crop qualities, especially winter crop qualities, and also on the sugar industry, because the weather condition has made the grounds too wet, so very difficult to put machine on. And also, there has been a reduction in the sugar content of the cans. So that has resulting in reduced sugar production. And as a result, we estimate at the time, up to that point, we probably lose our export value by around 1 billion, and we released that result in our December issue of our forecasting report, Australian Commodities. Now, getting to the second stage, the floodings, and that's much more, widespread. And we estimate the damage in terms of winter crop productions now, in addition to quality downgradings, we also have crop losses. We estimate that we lost about 2.5 million tons of winter crop production, which can be translated into around $600 to $700 million in terms of farm incomes. And also, we estimate that just for Queensland alone, we lost about 225 million in terms of fruit and vegetable productions. Naturally, the same situation, the losses also occurred in Victoria and also in Tasmania, but perhaps the magnitudes were smaller than in Queensland. The flooding also adversely affect the cotton industry. We estimate around 7% of cotton plantations, was wiped up because of the floods, and we estimate that will cost about 150 million in this financial year. But later on, there have been attempts to replant some of the cottons, but that's really a relatively small scale because the window for planting GM cottons basically closed at the end of November. But in any case, that for the nation as a whole, we still expect the cotton crop for this season will be a record. Now, we also estimate that there will be around 30 million losses in terms of sorghum plantations. That's because of the floods. And also later on, there were some replantings, especially in southern Queensland and central Queensland. But in terms of the successfulness, it's still sort of wait and see to see whether there will be adverse impact in terms of yields. Another interesting aspect of the whole analysis is really the implication of the flooding on our coal export industries. We estimate because of flooding of the mines plus infrastructure disruptions, to ports, to railways, or even to highways, we estimate there will be around 2 to 2.5 billion lost in our coal export revenues just for the December 2010 to end of March 2011. There could still be some residual impact goes into the June quarter because some of the ports have not returned to full capacity. But on the same token, we have seen coking coal prices increased quite significantly in response to the situation. Thermal coal prices also rose, but later on came down a bit. So, in terms of relativities, the price rises for coking coal have been much more significant.